and I feel like we've been there for too long. So when he said the revolution will not be televised, it's like, hey, we got to change how we see it here. Our mindset, we got to be royal, be regal. Like my boy Jojo said, like regal mindset is where we're at. And so I say that to say, when I'm talking about these affirmations and whatnot with my children, that's what I mean, is by having that belief system that you are enough as you are, that you are meant to be capable. It is your birthright to be something special. God didn't put you here just to be here. He put you here to give something to this world. So step into that, lean into that. Don't wait for somebody to tell you what you can be. Go find it, and go find it full speed. If you screw up along the way, like what did Coach would say, screw up full speed. You know what I'm saying? That's how we live in. So when we talk about affirmations, man, I just want to reiterate that belief system that you don't need somebody else to anoint you to be what you think you want to be. And that's kind of how we break that out. Back to that again, the revolution ain't gonna be televised. It's here. We got to overcome that here first.
Love that. I want to go into Rojo. I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. Defining culture for you. As I said, I think culture is extremely big, especially when it pertains to Black culture. I mean, I've traveled around the world, Dubai, all these places, and how prevalent Black culture is in those societies it's amazing. It really, really is amazing how, we're just here in America and we think that it's just here, but no, we're worldwide. We're in everybody. As Mook said, like, I believe Black culture sets the stage for other people. We're so impressionable onto others and all of that. So Rojo, I really, because your background in growing up in LA, I really want to talk about Black culture with you and how you define Black culture.
I mean, for me, when you growing up in a single parent household, the culture is always it's different, and not different in a bad way. It's different in a way of is this normal? You start wondering, is this normal? But when you're in the inner city and you compare it to the others that's at your school or the others that's on your block, it's a lot of single parent homes that's there. So that becomes the culture of understanding that your mom is the mother and the father of the household. So culture wise, I felt in my heart that this was normal. Like single parent home was normal. Like it's not too many dads that was taking care of the kids. That was as a single dad, you didn't really see that. You seen single mothers doing it. Culture just comes with the word love. I mean, my mom always preached, no matter what, we can have negatives in our accounts if we can afford accounts. At the end of the day, it's about your brothers and your sisters looking out for each other, because when things fall apart, you go back to your brothers and sisters. Like my aunties and uncles, they was there, but then my mom really preached to the brothers and sisters of your family. Like that was the culture. The culture was that, like most cultures are culture within another culture of another culture. When you hear the term, it take a village to raise a kid, that's pretty much exactly what it was in South Central. It was like that block. My block took care of me. Like my mom knew that, knew everybody on the block. Everybody knew who we was, knew me and my brother. So the culture was just that. I mean, I can continue to say culture, but sometimes it starts within. And when it starts within, it starts with my mom running it.
Quick question there, man. Sorry to interject here, Sly, because that was something that I was thinking about from a cultural standpoint. That was also something that was relevant to my culture was a little bit different, where it takes a village. It was our church, again, like the church network that we had with it. To get back to Ogden, to Salt Lake, like that whole. I couldn't tell you how many aunties and uncles that I got that are not my blood. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to explain that to my white friends, where I'm like, oh, that's my cousin, or this is that, and they're like, oh, how? Is that your auntie? And then they're like, well,
I don't know.
If we're splitting hairs, yeah, but that's crazy, because I think that's something that is culture, is back to that. It raises a village. Like the people in your neighborhood could give you whoopings and your mom wouldn't care. She was like, did you deserve it? No, I did. I'm expecting that. And I don't know if there's again, I don't know if of other cultures that are like that, but I would say that that is a big thing within our culture as a whole. Is that again our family structure, the way we're very not only neighborhood but community driven, you know, and in the sense of um, you know, everybody knowing everything and being part of a family. But sorry, man, I was something that I
No,
was
no,
thinking about
no,
when I asked that question
No,
because
that's
that was
that's that's
that's
that's
perfect.
right though. That's right. Yeah, because I mean, when I think about my situations, you know, if it wasn't for the park that was up the street from my house where I played all my sports at, I would never even understand what was going on around my neighborhood if it wasn't for that. I made a lot of friends as in growing up at a park, and even like summertime, like my mom would put me in those free lunch programs where it's like, you know, you get the free lunch from the park, and you see other kids that's doing the exact same thing. So you start thinking it's normal. It's just the way that it is. And you know, stepping outside of that, it's not a good feeling when you step outside of it. Like Sly can definitely like Sly have been to my hood with me when we was training, and it's a different world when you think about the freeways when it comes to Los Angeles. Like you can go past a freeway and you can see something completely change. Where it's like this neighborhood compared to that neighborhood, and when you growing up, it's like it just becomes the culture of like summertime, you know for sure as a kid, hey, I'm about to go to this. I'm gonna be at the park, getting the free lunches, hanging out with my boys, going swimming. You know, it's just the way that it is. But you never really understand that that is a culture until you get older. Get to our age right now, where we able to break down what is culture and being able to show people what's the other side of that block look like, or the other side of that state. You know, being able to see that the culture is what you make of it,
So
the
I love
values.
that. I want to go back to what you said before, Rojo, and Jojo. I want you to chime in on this as well. Um, but that family unit, that it takes a village, and the community aspect, I love that because, as I said before, I believe in order to really understand Black culture, you know, I was talking to my mom this weekend about it, and as far as African culture compared to African American culture is different, right? And you know, of course, it goes to the slave days, and what it took for us to come together, and what things that we had, you know, and we had each other. That's literally it as far as what it came together. So that unity, that unit that you were talking about, Rojo, as far as it being your family, your brothers and sisters, right? But not just your brothers and sisters, everybody from that block. Did you deserve that ass whooping? Right? Like I
Right.
love that whole aspect. So I really want to go back to how the unity standpoint in the Black culture is with all of that, and how important that is to growing up.
I mean, it's very important. Like, it's a big thing when you look at your best friend that's your next door neighbor, where his mom is a single parent mom, and then on the other end, like on my other side neighbor, his mom was a single parent of five. See, so you start getting used to it, and you start feeling like this is normal, and the moms they help out each other. So
Mm-hmm.
it really becomes like this is the culture, and it's like if I'm at my junior high school, I remember playing basketball and one of my boys was like, "Oh yeah, my dad this, my dad that." And you know, for me as a young kid, I didn't see it as like a threat, but it was like, wow, like dude, like your dad is helping you with basketball. Like your dad is like your dad and your mom is like here, like you know, like it's like that was a royalty. That was like, hey, that's the life. Like you got your mom and dad that's helping you. Like you supposed to be, you about to be like the man. You know, it's like you got your dad and your mom, but you don't see that as bad. It's just part of culture. It's part of being in the inner city. It's
And
just how it goes.
that's what I want to touch on, Jojo. With all this is going to really spark some with you. Is that like of how important it is to have a two-parent household, right?
Man,
Those single mothers, how, you know, how strong they were to raise all these families this whole time. By Rojo, I know get a little sensitive, but your father being taken away, you know, other people's fathers being incarcerated, you know, and leaving it to a single mother household, that becomes known. Like everybody, like there's single mothers all over the place for many different reasons, though. But like, what is the effects of not having two parents in a household when it comes to community?
I mean, for especially for Black community, that's something that was taken away from us. Let's rewind a little bit. Black culture, Black American culture, was something that was given to us, right? It wasn't our original culture. Our original culture was family. You know what I'm saying? It was two-parent households. But somewhere down the line, they figured like, all right, how do we get these men out of the home? You know what I'm saying? How do we take these men away? Because if you take the men away, we get right to what we were just talking about. The women are left vulnerable with kids, and your kids are malleable. Everyone, I'm not saying women can't hold it down, because clearly they're doing it, but men are usually, we're talking about gender roles, are the protectors. They shield you from all that. They're guiding you, and they're leading the ship, right? So it's like they rob. It's so important. They robbed us of that, but it's so important, man. It like I said, they're guiding us. They're showing us the way. Like, so I know cats, and y'all can speak on this. Who taught you how to ride a bike, or who taught you how to shave, or do this or do that, right? And I'm speaking like, yes, I had both my parents. My dad didn't have his though. You know what I'm saying? So he had to learn that on his own. So that's a dark side of our culture. You know what I'm saying? A part of our culture. It's like we had, like Mook said, we had to get it out the mud. We didn't have a choice either. We had to get out of the mud. But it's so important, man. Like it's life changing. It's life changing to have your father around. That's a void that you don't have to grow up trying to fill on your own with gangs and frats or this and that. Like, I literally had a conversation with somebody today with Mike. We were talking about why people join frats and gangs and do these different things. And I remember my dad growing up. My mom's a Delta, shout out to the Deltas, no disrespect. But my mom's a Delta, but my dad would be like, forget the frat. Like I'm his frat was 5 slam of me. That's what he'd always say when we were kids. I'm 5 slam of me. He's like, you don't need a frat. You got brothers. And I'm just like, oh, all right.
Which is the truth, bro.
Hey, he didn't play with it, man. Like he was not with that, bro. It was all about your family. That's it. It was all about your community. That's all we have. Because being Black culture in Utah is unique. You know what I'm saying? Like, Mook can attest to this. We all got each other. Like I can walk in anywhere in Utah. I'm nodding at a Black dude. My daughter like, do you know him? Is that your homeboy? Like, nah, I don't know him, but I know him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
bro, we driving 75 hours on or 75 miles an hour on the freeway, and you see a Black, you go stop and
you say what's up.
What's good?
You say what's up. Yeah,
verbiage that you got to do. You know what I mean?
It's an unwritten law.
Yeah,
and that's
probably anywhere, right?
So and then that's something that I like when I got here to Utah. Like I mean, a Black person across the street, he's like making sure that I noticed him, like, hey, what's up? And it's like, for me, I'm like, bro, I don't know you, like, but see, but then that's the culture that goes back into the culture of me being in Los Angeles. Like, it's certain blocks where it's like, you see a Black person, you ain't gonna always say what's up. It's something that's different, like. And then bounce that topic to, like you were saying, JoJo, about the single parent and having both parents. Like, I mean, me growing up, like, I didn't notice how big it was until I got to college. Once I got to the University of Utah, I started seeing these, like the parents are there. Like, like you get a recruiting trip and, mom and dad is there. And like, for me, my recruiting trip, I was by myself. I just, like, my mom she just couldn't come. I was by myself. And like, like I was recently just like looking at different videos and watched, like, man, like I was watching video, like your sister had a video up of your dad and everything. And like, dude, like something like that. I did wish, it did like harp on me as I got older, as like wishing I had that ability to say like, yeah, my dad was at this game, or, like having those little small moments of just like laughing with your dad, like something like that. Like, it did play the big factor into me being older, where right now I'm trying to understand and try to deal with trying to be a good father and trying to understand what it's like. But seeing a video like that, it's just like, it did make me feel like, man, like I did wish my dad would have seen some of the different highlights and been able to present some of the things that I did for his wife, which is my mom. Some of the things that I pushed and tried to push forward to make happen. But it's small things, man. It's small things that you don't get until you get older, when you start thinking about those processes of seeing other people's families and feeling like, did I miss the boat? You
Yeah.
know, like did I